This is the refreshed Mitsubishi Montero Sport. Let's give it a review. The current generation Mitsubishi Montero Sport is one of the oldest in the pickup-based SUV segment. Its Triton sibling has received a new generation, while this is still basically what we first got in 2016. It still received a refresh last year, and that's what we have here. This is the 2025 Mitsubishi Montero Sport Black Series 4-wheel drive, and it's priced at 2,502,000 Philippine pesos. So let's talk about the exterior of the Montero Sport, and you can see that it's the same basic overall look as what we first saw in 2019, but there are a few changes. So mainly it's the front grille. The dynamic shield front grille has been redesigned, this hexagon shape all over. Also, you'll notice that we have these new lights, which most people will like. I personally don't like it. The bumper is redesigned as well. Blacked out front grille, blacked out bumper for this black series. And we do have the same LED DRLs over there, LED headlights with black housing since this black series again. And we still have LED fog lights, LED cornering lights, and our halogen turn signals. Also the chrome for the dynamic shield grille also stays. And also we have front parking sensors and a headlamp washer since this is the 4-wheel drive. And moving towards the side, everything is the same except for the wheels. So these are new. These are newly designed 18-inch alloy wheels. They're blacked out, of course, because this is Black Series. And it's also wrapped in Toyo tires. Then other stuff, you'll see blacked out side mirror cap, blacked out door handles. And we have a silver running board down here. We also have blacked out roof rails. And also we have a blacked out roof, by the way. So that's another thing that sets this apart from the other variant. Also the graphite gray exterior paint job of this particular unit does make the Black Series look even better. And here at the back, you can see that's very much the same as before, but I still really like how this looks. So we still have that very long teardrop like LED headlight, which has been fixed in 2019. Some people still don't like it. I really like this design. It's almost full LED, so only the turn signal is not LED. The bumper is still the same as well here at the back, but it's blacked out since this is the Black Series. Spoiler also blacked out for the GT variants, Black Series only. Then a power tailgate, which does open pretty fast. So this is one of the things they changed, and you can see that I do have my mess over here. So with the third row seats up, you can fit a decent amount of items, although larger luggage or medium sized, even small ones will probably be a tighter fit. But once you fold the seats down, then we do have a very big amount of space. This is definitely more than what you would get in something like a Toyota Fortuner, but less than something like a Ford Everest and Nissan Terra. But still, it's a very good amount of space back here. Then underneath the floor, we also have some storage. Also, this has a hands-free function, so just kick here, it will open. And now we're inside the Montero Sport Black Series 4-wheel drive, and as you can see, it is basically the same as well as what we first saw in 2020, just like the exterior. So very minor changes, which are quite noticeable if you know what you're talking about. So the most obvious here is the steering wheel, which is the same as what you would find in the Mitsubishi Triton and Mitsubishi X-Force, and it's Lancer inspired, and it looks very good. It really takes everything to the next level here when it comes to this, so I really like how that looks. And we also have new color pattern, so it's a burgundy and black interior now, and we also have some gunmetal gray finishes instead of silver, which does really make everything look so much better. Also, the headliner has been blacked out on the Black Series. Materials are all the same as before pretty much, so hard touch plastics all over the dashboard, no soft touch over there, but it is a pretty good material. Also here on the side, we have some leather where your knees will usually hit, and the door panel has been slightly redesigned as well, so we have a new leather pattern over there. Materials here also the same hard touch plastic, which does feel pretty good. The leather itself on the steering wheel is also pretty nice. We have our new 8-inch digital instrument cluster. It's the same one as you would find in the Mitsubishi X-Force as well, but with Montero Sport graphics. That also looks really nice. It's much cleaner look. Some people will do not like it. I like it, provided that we're in the cleaner mode. This actually has 2 display options, so you can change between those. Pretty much the same as what we had before, just a different graphic, and it's still really nice. So going back to the steering wheel, against the new 3-spoke design, which is really nice. It's still telescopic adjustable, so a good amount of adjustment, not much, but it works. It's very easy to find a driving position, and we still have paddle shifters unlike the Mitsubishi Triton. I do wish they changed our stalks though, because they do feel a bit cheap. So other stuff here, we have controls on the left for our audio, on the right for our adaptive cruise control, 360 cam button, which I'll show you in just a bit, and then our phone controls over there. So here in the middle, we still have the same 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system as well. This is getting quite old compared to its rivals, but it does work pretty well. It has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, both wired, so response is okay. It's not the fastest anymore, but I think I'd take this over what we have in the Toyota Fortuner. Then moving down, we have dual zone automatic climate control, so knobs and displays. It does look quite old already with its orange lighting, but I do like it. So none of that touchscreen, touch sensitive nonsense for aircon controls. Then moving further down, we still have two USB ports, which are just USB-A, no USB-C yet over here. We have an HDMI port, our diff lock switch over there, since this is the 4-wheel drive, and a 12-volt power outlet. So we have the cover over here, not a cigarette lighter. Then moving further down, we have a little bit of storage. You can put your phone over there. There's a lot of storage underneath the center console, or not a lot, but you do have that. Then shifter is still the same as before, so just your normal shifter. And we have here our 4x4 selector. Mitsubishi has Super Select still, and this is, I believe, one of the most capable in the industry. Next to that, we have our electronic parking brake with auto hold function, and two cup holders over here. Our armrest in the center, which feels softer than before, and this still have the same amount of storage underneath as expected. And then one of the best changes I think in this cabin are the seats. The same seat, but it does have a new diamond pattern over there. It just feels so much more premium than before. So I have my Montero Sport GT 2020, and I am very frustrated with these seats because they're so much nicer. They're so much more comfortable, and I guess I'll be sad when I return this in a few days. So very nice seats. They're very supportive now. They're much more comfortable. I no longer get any back aches. And adjustments, so both front seats are 8-way power adjustable, so that's also nice to have. Then since this is the 4-wheel drive, we have a sunroof. So it's just a regular size sunroof, but I don't mind because this is one of two vehicles in the segment, if I'm not mistaken, that offer a sunroof. Other vehicles don't have it at all. So yeah, that's here in front, pretty much the same. Let's check out the back. Other than the seats, nothing else is different. So we do get the same seat patterns in front. So just like in front, the seats are now much more comfortable, although they are still quite flat, not enough support, I think, especially if you compare it with something like a Ford Everest and Nissan Terra. They are much more comfortable now based on what I am feeling so far. And also the door panel has been slightly redesigned as well, just like in front, with the new leather stitch pattern, which is so much nicer as well. But other than that, everything else is the same. So legroom, it's fine, not the best, but it works. Headroom is okay as well. I'm 5 feet and 7 inches in height. And standard stuff, we have here a center armrest with two cup holders which pop out. That's nice, I like that. And we also have a 220-volt power outlet down there and a USB port, well, two USB-A ports underneath the cover. Seat back pockets on both seats. Aircon controls are up here. Vents are on the side, and put on, just press that. Fan speed control over that. Also the lights are over there. Like I showed you earlier, we fold it up earlier and now we put it down. So sometimes it doesn't lock in place, but yeah, just have to force it in. And as you can see, space here is on the tighter side. It's not as tight as what you would find in the Toyota Fortuner. It is tight, so foot room is almost non-existent. So only less than half of my foot is able to go under the second row seat. Knee room, it's okay. My knees aren't brushing against the back of the seats anyway. So headroom is pretty tight. We have this thing over here, and my hair is just brushing against the seating. Again, I'm 5 feet and 7 inches in height. So this is a two-seater, and the seat still get the burgundy pattern, at least no longer diamond pattern. But yeah, that's fine. This is the third row anyway, and this is an emergency third row, I guess. So there's really nothing to find over here as expected. We have two cup holders, a 12-volt power outlet, and that's it. And now we're driving the Mitsubishi Montero Sport GT Black Series all-wheel drive, and we're very familiar with the Montero Sport. And if you've been following us for a long while now, since we started, you'll know that I personally drive a Montero Sport GT two-wheel drive 2020 model. So it's my daily car, and it makes me very familiar with this. And honestly, this one here frustrates me a bit because, well, mostly of the physical changes, but when it comes to driving, it's very much the same as before. And there are just a few differences because this is the four-wheel drive and I have the two-wheel drive, so I'll be able to give you a more detailed explanation on this stuff. So first, to start with the engine. So this still gets the same engine as before. Other markets already get the Triton's newer 4 and 16 engine. This one still gets the same one as the pre-facelift version since 2016. So it's the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel that produces 178 horsepower and 430 Newton meters of torque mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. So it's not anymore the most powerful when it comes to the 4x4 variants in this segment. So this is one of, I think it's the least powerful if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's not anymore the most powerful. Other rivals like the Fortuner, Ford Everest, Nissan Terra will all have more than 190 and 200 horsepower. So this one is on the lower end, more on par with the 4x2 rivals. But still, that doesn't mean that you won't like driving this, because honestly, when it comes to driving, this is still, I think, one of the best, if not the best. It's just, Mitsubishi has tuned this powertrain very well, and that's also what I said when we drove the Triton a few months ago. So this one still feels very familiar. This feels a lot like the GLS, but just a bit older. So when it comes to acceleration, when it comes to the way that delivers power, it's actually pretty smooth. So I like that. I like the way that Mitsubishi has done that. Although the 8-speed automatic transmission is still not my preferred, so I'd rather have a 6-speed automatic transmission here, or maybe even a 7-speed, just not the 8-speed, because there are times that it still does get confused. So there is that, but at least it's not like Ford's 10-speed automatic transmission, which really gets confused. This one just at times, there is a slight delay, and the power, how it delivers power, it just feels a bit more slightly underpowered here compared to its rivals. But once you reach a certain RPM, you will have all the power at your disposal. Overtaking power here will not be an issue as well, despite it being lower on the numbers, because again, that transmission is still tuned very well, although again, it's not my preferred one. Then one other thing you'll notice, like I mentioned, it is a bit underpowered, but I think it's limited to the 4x4 variant, because mine, well, what I noticed immediately driving them side by side immediately after one another is that this is a bit more underpowered, probably because it is heavier, again because of that 4x4 system. Mine's only 4x2, so that's gonna be a lot lighter, and it really shows how much heavier this one is. So if you don't want to have that kind of heavy underpowered feeling, you'll probably have to look at other SUVs, or just get the 4x2 for instance. They offer pretty much the same amount of equipment anyway. There's also a slight difference when it comes to steering. So this one, 4x4, is on the heavier side compared to the 4x2 versions and also its rivals. So it's still hydraulic. It's not just the electric power assisted steering that we get like in the Ford Everest. So it's pretty much like the Nissan Terra's hydraulic, also the Fortuner. But this one is much heavier. Also, even the Mitsubishi Triton is already a lot lighter because the Athlete gets the electric power steering. This is, again, very heavy. Despite that, it still does offer a very decent amount of feedback. Actually more feedback compared to the 4x2 variant. And, there's just a slight delay when it comes to steering, but it's barely noticeable, and you'll really get used to it immediately. And the best part about how this SUV handles is its turning radius. So it's just very easy to live with, especially with the tight turning radius. So it really helps in, when you're taking it in tight city streets, or when you make a mistake while driving. So yeah, I really like how this handles still. Body roll is a bit noticeable, but it's not as much as its rivals would have. So this one is pretty good on that regard as well. As for NVH insulation, it's a mixed bag. So road noise is on the quieter side. We also have those Toyo tires, like I mentioned earlier, which are quieter than the stock Dunlops on the lower variant. So you'll probably want to swap them out eventually. Anyway, engine noise is something that is quite loud. So it does feel a bit unrefined compared to its rivals now, and it does have the tendency to get a bit loud. Although if you compare it with something like a Nissan Terra, this is much quieter. As for ride quality, it's something that I wish Mitsubishi did improve when they did some updates. So not much has improved in that regard. It's still it's not very firm. It's much better than a Toyota Fortuner, but it is firm, especially if you compare to the Nissan Terra, Ford Everest, even the Isuzu Mu-X. This is something that you won't really like, I guess, but I guess it also takes getting used to, at least for me, having one of my own. But again, it is on this firmer side, and I think Mitsubishi could have still improved that. Minor updates that would have really helped. As for fuel economy, you will expect slightly less in the 4x4 compared to the 4x2. So inside the city, I'm able to achieve here around 9-10 kilometers per liter in light to moderate conditions. Heavy traffic conditions did lower that to like 6-5 kilometers per liter. While on the highway, you're gonna expect around 14 to 15 kilometers per liter. Just for reference, the 4x2 inside the city, I'm able to achieve 12 kilometers per liter on a regular basis, while on the highway, around 17, 18 kilometers per liter. And that's just on normal driving. And finally, before we end, this is equipped with advanced driver assist system. So I'm not sure if Mitsubishi also calls it the Diamond Sense in this car. That's what they call it in the Mitsubishi X-Force and Triton. But here, yeah, so we do have adaptive cruise control. We have autonomous emergency braking, or what they call forward collision mitigation. And we also have forward collision warning, blind spot monitoring. So it's not the full suite that you would get in some of its rivals. We don't have lane departure warning, lane keep assist. We don't have those stuff here. But at least the adaptive cruise control does work pretty well. I think they updated it slightly compared to before. I've tried the one before and it didn't really work really nice, but it was one of the older ones that time. And until now, it is still one of the older systems when it comes to advanced driver assist. But yeah, it works pretty well. The adaptive cruise control will accelerate and brake in a decent, it doesn't scare you. But it doesn't work at lower speeds. Once the car comes to a stop, it will deactivate, which is unfortunate because other SUVs like the Ford Everest will have low speed follow feature. And that's it for our drive with this. So I guess, yeah, like compared to its rivals, it's not the most powerful, but again, it's one of the best driving in the segment, and you definitely won't regret it when it comes to how this drive. It's really, I really like how the Montero Sport is, despite it being one of the older ones, or, well, yeah, it's really one of the older ones by now. Despite being old, the Mitsubishi Montero Sport is still a very compelling option in a sea of more modern, next-generation, pickup-based SUVs. It may feel old here and there, but Mitsubishi was able to make it keep up and still continue to offer us what's most important. It's still one of the better driving models, offers features that are in with the times, and still looks pretty fresh.